Hey everybody, it's Booray, and today we are going to talk about gear envy. Is it good? Is it bad? Let's get started. Gear envy. You know, when you really want a piece of gear, we all have it, right? Before I get started, I just want to point out, I know there's nothing on my walls back there. I just moved in. We just moved into a new house about 20 minutes north of where we lived before, and we've been in here for about a month now, and putting things on the walls will be the very last thing that we do. So we'll get used to a big blank wall back there for a while, because I don't know what I'm going to put up there yet, and part of the fun of a new house is trying to figure out what you want to put on the wall. So I'll get something up there eventually. I just don't know if I want to showcase my work or if I want to put up stuff that like other people have sent me. Just haven't figured it out yet. So anyway, let's talk about gear envy today, because one of the things that you get when you're a person who makes videos on YouTube or you have a channel on Facebook like my group, one of the things that you always get is you'll be posting something about a piece of gear, right? You know, a review, or what about this thing that's coming out? Let's get excited about this. And there's always the person that comes in and says, it's not the gear, it's not the camera, it's the photographer, right? It's almost, it's like you can just count on it. Every time you make a post, you're just waiting. Here it comes. Where are you? It's coming in. It's not the photographer, it's not the gear, it's the photographer. And then if you push them on it, it's the best part. If you push them on it, it's always like, I've been shooting with a Kodak camera from 1876 for my entire life, and I do fantastic pictures. And you're like, okay, that's fine. You know, that's great. Ansel Adams didn't have a 5D Mark VII. Okay, he didn't. That's true. But it doesn't mean there hasn't been advances. It doesn't mean there hasn't been advances in cameras and gear, and that we shouldn't get excited about things that help us push our craft and our art in a new direction or to higher heights. So I want to talk a little about gear envy. When is it good and when is it bad? Because I do believe that it's perfectly okay. Gear envy is perfectly okay. And of course, this is said as a guy who has lots of videos that he talks about gear, so you don't expect me to come out here and go, you know what, that sucks. We shouldn't be talking about gear anymore. There are times when it's bad. Okay, so let's start with when it's obviously good. If a piece of gear is coming out that is game-changing for you, whether it's as a professional or as a hobbyist, then it's okay to have gear envy. And I can think of many times when I have had serious gear envy over a piece of gear, and it has changed my day-to-day existence as a photographer. For example, when the Spider holster came out, I had been looking for years for some way to take my camera and hang it on my hip the way a carpenter hangs a hammer on his hip. And then the Spider holster came out, and it changed everything for me. I've literally been through 3 of them. Do you know how hard it is to destroy a Spider holster? It's extremely hard. They're very, very rugged, and I think I'm on my 3rd one now. For a while, I had one that was, the fabric was ripped away from the plate that hangs on your hip, and I had worn it on the beach for like 500 weddings, and Spider holster sent me a new one. And because I was speaking somewhere, and they wanted me to have a nice shiny holster, I guess, when I was speaking. So they sent me a new one, and I was reluctant to use it because it was a mark of pride that my Spider holster was so ragged. You know, like if you're a person who travels the world and your suitcase, the old thing you would see back in the day, the suitcase is covered in stickers from all the places that you've been. You don't want to get rid of it because it kind of shows your journey. And that was the way I felt about my Spider holster. I eventually did start using the new one because it just looks better at weddings and stuff like that. But they're very hard to destroy. And I loved it, and it changed the game for me. It made my job easier. When I bought my Think Tank roller bag, the first bag for photography gear that has 4 wheels on it, as far as I know, has 4 wheels on it. I had been asking for this for years. I had been saying, will someone please come out with a bag for your photography gear that has 4 wheels on it, the way an airport bag, and they actually call it the airport roller. And it's fantastic because now when you're going into elevators, when you're going up into buildings to do headshots and stuff like that, it's very easy to push that bag around. You don't have to drag it behind you and make your profile bigger in the elevator and in the hallways and so forth and so on. So I was very, very anxious and excited about that bag. I was very excited about my new cameras, very about the Fuji X-H2, very excited about different lenses, very excited about different straps, and many of these things made my life better. The Godox 8200, full TTL built into the flash. It is 3 times as powerful as an on-camera flash. For someone who was doing weddings on the beach and having to overpower the sun, this was huge, huge. It was 2 things in one that I wanted. A, I wouldn't have to use remote. I wouldn't have to take my camera and put it in a hot shoe remote anymore because it was built in. And B, it was 3 times as powerful as a regular flash that I used, which meant I didn't have to take 2. So, it's okay to have these levels of gear envy. But a lot of this stuff is professional. What if you're not a professional? Good morning, by the way. What if you're not a professional? Well, gear envy is okay in those cases as well. The first thing you have to ask yourself is, do you think it will make you a better photographer? And not just better. The third thing I'm going to talk about is the real point here. Do you think it will make you a better photographer? Because there are some pieces of gear that do make you a better photographer. If you do a lot of portraits, having a camera that has got autofocus and eye focus, it will make you a better photographer because it will enable you to get out from behind the camera, to talk to your subject, look at your subject, get more reactions, get better faces, whatever you want to do, because the camera will focus for you. That makes you a better photographer, right? If you're using an older camera that has poor dynamic range, if you're using lenses that are not sharp, any upgrades in those areas are going to make you a better photographer. In those cases, it is the gear. There are some things you just need certain gear for, like a lens baby. If you want a tilt shift lens, if you do a lot of architecture, that gear will make you better in some ways, right? So if it makes you better as a photographer, great. Gear envy, great. It's fine. It's not fine when you have gear envy and you think that a better or a newer piece of gear will make you a better photographer, but you don't have any concrete reason to believe that, right? And I think that's what the people are thinking, and when they come online, they comment, is that there are people who just think that if I buy a more expensive camera, or if I buy a camera that has the new doodad, that my pictures will be better. And let me tell you, there is no substitute for simply studying and shooting. In cases like that, honestly, any camera will do. No substitute for just shooting. I do a lot of coaching. You can sign up for my one-on-one coaching, and I work with people and help them become better photographers. And one of the things I always have to push some people away from is this idea, because they'll come right out of the box. They'll be like, I was thinking if I got this lens, and then I would be better. And I'm like, no, you won't be better. Because if you hand me any camera, I can take a good picture with it. Because I have spent so much time learning how to compose an image, learning how to see the light, learning how to put a person in the light if it's a portrait, and where they should stand and how they should pose. And all of these things are really integral to being a good photographer. And this is the same if you're doing bird pictures, right? If you're out there taking pictures of birds, understanding where the light is in relation to the area that you're shooting, understanding how that's going to work off the feathers of the bird, off the eye, and give you a catch light on the bird. Yeah, that's like deep dive stuff that will make you a better photographer and has nothing to do with the gear. So in those instances, gear envy, you see this a lot with musicians. Like I play guitar, and my guitar is pretty old and not real expensive. But I know people who will just go buy the latest, greatest expensive guitar, and I'm like, dude, practice. You just need to practice. I don't practice enough. I'm not that good. Play a few songs, play some chords, great. Not that good. I know that, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of money on expensive gear when I know that my talent is not going to make that gear rise to its potential. So in those cases, gear envy really not a good thing. What you really need is achievement envy. You need to want to go out and shoot, and you need to want to learn what it takes to be a good photographer. Which brings us to the final thing. And this is where it gets tricky. The final thing is, does it make you happy? Because if it makes you happy, then nothing else really matters. And this is not a popular opinion because it's very easy to sit and have debates about all of this stuff all day long. But the truth is, if it makes you happy and it doesn't make you poor and it doesn't hurt anyone, then it's okay to have gear envy. It's absolutely okay. I mean, this is my Fuji X100V, and I'm on order to get the Fuji X100VI, just like so many of you. Do I need the Fuji X100VI? No. Is it going to make me a better photographer? No. Will it make me more money? Well, a little bit, I guess, because I'll be making a whole bunch of videos about it, I'm sure. But do I want it? Yes. Why? This is my third X100. I'm going to get the fourth. I'm going to get the next one too. You know, and there are things about it that I really like. I like that it's going to have a bigger sensor. It's going to have a 40 megapixel sensor. I like that. I like that it's going to have in-body image stabilization. And that's enough for me to buy this camera, this admittedly expensive camera that you can't actually get right now. And you start to feel a little guilty about it because I really don't need that camera. Yeah, but I want that camera and it's going to make me happy, and I'm a grown man. If I want to spend my money on something that makes me happy, why can't I do that? If I turned around and spent that money on a cruise, you wouldn't say twice. You wouldn't say anything. It sounds like I'm talking to my wife, doesn't it? I'm not. Like, Booray, are you making this video just because you had a fight with your wife today? No. No, my wife doesn't question anything I spend money on. That's one of the wonderful things about our marriage, is that neither one of us, we never question anything like that. But we're also both very responsible. So there's no reason to. But if it makes you happy, okay. There's nothing wrong with a little gear envy. There's nothing wrong with going down the rabbit hole. Even if it's not going to make you a better photographer, if it makes you happy and it's not breaking the bank, fine. There are people who collect things that don't do anything for anybody, except they just make them happy. They've got a room full of Star Wars figures, and it doesn't make them better at anything, but they enjoy it, and leave them alone. Let them enjoy it, right? So don't be afraid to just embrace something that makes you happy, because you reach a point in your life where there just isn't that much that makes you happy anymore. And if you're lucky enough to find something, be it photography, be it golf, be it anything. I know golfers who are terrible and they're out buying new clubs. Hey, if it makes you happy, buy those new clubs. Why not? So don't be afraid and don't be ashamed. Go out and order yourself a new Fuji X100VI. We'll make some videos about it together. All right, before we go, as usual, listen, check out all the stuff that I've got to offer. Go to my website, boorayperry.com/education, and on that page, you will find everything that I offer. And be sure and get my free ebooks. I have 2 free ebooks on my page, linked on my page, that you can go to, and the links will also be down below. And these are absolutely free little ebooks that I put together that I thought were really great ways for people who were just getting into photography, or really, you don't have to be just into photography, just great things that will help you, little notes, a nice little thing to have in your phone and have at your disposal. And also be sure and check out my Natural Light Photography ebook, because I have discounted it. It's been out for over a year now, so I've cut the price in half, and in addition to that, there is a discount code in this video, which makes it extremely affordable. So be sure and check out that ebook as well, because if you work with natural light, and most of my people here do, you're actually going to love this ebook, I promise. So go and check that out. Also, be sure and join my group on Facebook. It's called Pro Photo Talk with Booray Perry. It's a great community there, and you can go in there and ask questions, and me and other photographers will all get there and try and help you out. And also be sure and follow me on Instagram and on Threads at Booray Perry, and all the links, of course, will be right down there. And be sure and check out all my gear online, because if you want to have a little gear envy, or if you are curious to see what I use, both my professional gear and my hobby gear and my Fuji X100V gear, then all of that is available to you as well. If you click one of those links and you buy something, then I make a couple of dollars, well, like maybe a $50, and it helps me to keep this video channel alive and to pay for this gear that I need to make these videos. So gear envy, is it good? Is it bad? It can be bad if you have gear envy and then you find yourself disappointed because the gear that you bought did not make you a better photographer. In that case, yeah, gear envy is bad. But in every other case, as long as it doesn't break the bank and it makes you happy, or if it makes your business better, or if it makes your job easier, yeah, Get excited about it. We all need something to be excited about. Why not photography gear? Why not photography, right? All right. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.